First off, though, I really appreciate everybody being here. Take a look around. There's a great room here. Lots of people, lots of new faces, which we really appreciate having. And hopefully those of you that are new here, you're enjoying yourself, and we welcome you back at all times in the future. Like I said, I'm going to skip through this very, very quickly. Want to say thank you to our sponsors. We have a sustaining sponsor, Proofpoint. We have actually have two foundational sponsors, Barracuda and Polera. So thank you. If you're in a position to be looking for any of their services, obviously we'd encourage you to go to them and have a conversation with them. And we appreciate their support. It really does make things like this evening available. It makes our offsite activities available and allows us to do craft beer rather than the other beer. So thank you to the sponsors. We have several ambassadors. Excellent, thank you. I always encourage, especially for new folks, if you see folks in the stars, although I think the stars are getting handed out a little bit more liberally than just the three people here. I've seen a lot of them out there today. You're all now ambassadors, so you have responsibilities. Thank you. But if you see anybody, with the name tag like mine, these are board members, or the stars, those are ambassadors. So if you're new here, those are the folks to help you, get acclimated and answer your questions. So feel free to talk to those people about AITP and asking us about it. If you have questions about membership, Becky's in the back. Please see Becky. We've got all sorts of different membership packages for corporate, for educational, and for individuals. We do have a couple of new members. Gwen unfortunately had to cancel today. Is Eric here? Eric is not here. Okay. For members, membership referral program. I want to talk about this for just a second because there are so many new people here tonight. We do have a membership referral program. If you're enjoying tonight, this is actually pretty typical. I know we're having a panel tonight, and this is usually a big thing for us. But the atmosphere here today is pretty typical of our events. So if you're enjoying yourself, you find the networking good, the food good, and so on and so forth, glom onto a member. Have them make a referral for you. It'll help you with you getting in, and say it gives you an extra month, and for the member doing the referral, they'll get an extra 2 months as well. Any questions with that, please see Becky. She can help you work through that type of thing. That's, when you do the email. Becky, again, in the back. But we'd love to have all of the folks that are guests here come and be members with us if you're enjoying yourself. Sponsorship, if you have any questions about sponsorship, please see Jen. Jen is in the middle table. Thank you, Jen. And if you have, I don't have a slide for this really, but if you have any speakers or know of folks that would be interesting for us to listen to, please reach out to either of the two VPs we have. Jerome, Chris, where are you guys? Hey, excellent, thank you. We have a topic coming up next month, and Alex will be talking to us. This is out there, registration is open. There's already 2 people registered, that's great to see. I encourage you to register early. So this should be a good topic. We've got a whole bunch of events coming up. The CIO mentoring program is also usually a very interesting experience for members. It's a great opportunity, particularly if you're in career transition or you're early in your career and you're looking at, what are the skills and the techniques and some of the war stories that some folks that have been in the industry for a while can share with you. We've got a great panel that will be there. We've got a joint event with SIM coming up on June 11th. Just note this, the location will be different than here. So we'll be out at the Carolina Exotic Car Club. And we have a sponsor that actually agreed to sponsor. So we will have the racing simulators there. So bring your racing shoes and your competitive spirit and challenge your fellow members to racing. It is members only. So another incentive to glom onto that member today and become a member. And then we have the panel. I'm going to introduce Kate Lewis. Most of you know Kate. Kate was a past president here and has been in almost every role. So Kate, thank you very much for moderating. Appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. I didn't get the mic for so long. I had withdrawals, so I decided to make a moderator panel so that people would have to listen. I will turn my this, but not with my back to the camera. Sorry, I'm getting instructions. Right, I would like to welcome my four esteemed panelists to the table with me. If Dr. Katina Blue, CIO of UNC Pembroke, will join me. Melissa, I'm not going to pronounce your last name. Nice Head of AI for Fidelity Investments. Rena, former CIO of LexisNexis, fractional CIO and confidential product underway. And Miss Olivia Bastian, Director of Enterprise Project Office at First Citizens Bank. Woo! And we promise you this won't be your boring gender stereotype women history month panel. That is my commitment to you. All right, I'm going to let everyone do a quick, brief introduction. We will pass the mic in this direction.
Hello everyone, I'm so glad to be here. My name is Reena Tiwari. I am former CIO for LexisNexis, ServiceTitan, and some other companies. Recently, I left my full-time job and I pivoted to become a founder. So I have a product underway. It is in stealth mode. Next time when I come, maybe I can talk more about it. And also doing some fashion work.
Congratulations. Hello, I'm Katina. I am the CIO, Associate Vice Chancellor at UNC Pembroke for the past 7 years, 31 years and 30 months and 15 days. As a state employee. But I've been in IT all those years.
So my name is Melissa Neiswander. Thank you all for having me here. So I lead the AI Center of Excellence in our workplace investing division at Fidelity Investments. So if you all, which probably about a third of you do in the room, have a retirement account with Fidelity, just know that my team of data scientists is working hard to personalize your experiences and make sure that you have good service and good assets there.
Hi, my name is Olivia Bastian. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful for being invited to sit here instead of there. I am a regular. I am the director of our enterprise project office at First Citizens Bank. So I run a team of project managers, project specialists, program managers, who primarily work on projects supporting enhancements to our digital platforms. Prior to that, I worked at Accenture. I was a consultant for the first half of my career, also serving financial services clients. I am actually a Cary native. I grew up here. I went to NC State. I had a good friend whose dad was a professor at NC State, so I've actually been swimming in that pool since I was a little kid. Does anyone know what it was? I know. Does anyone know what this place was called before University Club? Bit of trivia. Faculty Club? Yep. You got it.
And I promised Melissa this was not an AI panel. So I think most of her speaking engagements have recently been about AI.
It's okay. I promise to keep that small.
All right. So my first question, early in your career, what did you think leadership presence looked like? And how has that definition changed now that you have the seat? I'm going to start with Olivia.
Thank you. So when I thought about this question, I tried to remember what it was like back in my younger years when I was a new professional and inexperienced. And I looked at leaders at Accenture, and I thought it meant being a leader that you had all the knowledge, you had all the answers. If I came to you with a problem, you know exactly what to do. What I have found in becoming a leader myself is that it's not about having the answers, and it's certainly not about just giving the answers to your team. I don't always have the answers, but I think that leadership is about taking the experience that you have had and guiding your team in figuring out the solutions together. I ask tons of questions. So rather than have the answer, I find myself leading by asking questions. And I share with my team what I'm thinking as I'm asking the questions, because I want them to understand my thought process and why I'm coming up with these questions, so they can understand how I'm getting there, and hopefully develop their own critical thinking skills along the way. And then we've collaborated in a way to get to approaches to solve whatever it is they came to me for.
I love that answer.
Rena?
What's your take on it?
So when you ask early career, you take me back more than 30 years ago. So I have to think what I was going through. I started my career as a software engineer. Go in there, build the code, go home. There were no laptops, there were no internet. You just go in, work on a workstation, and come home. So there was no concept of leadership. There was no concept of presence. You're just building code. You're writing code, you're solving problems. So all your focus was on solving problems. When I got to mid-career and became a manager, that's when I had to prepare presentations and I had to talk to people. And then I was given feedback. Oh, you don't let others talk. Oh, you need to watch their body language. I'm like, what body language? I've been working with computers. Okay, computers don't have body language. So then one of my managers said, you need to take some communication skills training. Okay. And then I was given an opportunity to go on the stage and present. So before that, I was told I have to go and take stage presentation communication class. 2 days in San Francisco. They recorded us, they gave us topic, they recorded us, and then they played it for us, gave us feedback. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to do this? I think I was better off when I was an engineer. But lo and behold, I did that, and it really helped. So those communication skill classes and listening to people really helped, because that helped as I grew in my career in negotiating, in talking to people, in convincing, in influencing, in all sorts of things. So people call these skills soft skills. I don't. I think as you grow in your career, these also become hard skills that you have to learn. And you're not taught these. I mean, at least in my age, we were not taught in colleges or in any kind of education system. So we had to take these courses later on in our career. So that's what I feel the leadership presence has changed for me.
I love, because both of your answers, critical thinking and collaboration and communication and presentation skills, are non-technical skills that apply to any role at any company in any position, right? And are also skills that won't be taken over by AI. They're human skills. I promise, Melissa, it won't always be All right, now I want to talk a little bit about confidence. Many people, women included, wait to be fully ready before stepping into that next role or asking for that promotion. We're self-critical and we don't think we check all the boxes and we're not quite ready yet. We're maybe at 85% fit. Looking back, where did the confidence actually come from in your career to finally take that step and ask for that promotion without waiting for validation? And I'm gonna start with Katina.
Okay. Well, I think my confidence was ignited from the naysayers. I just have a fire in my gut when you tell me I can't do something. It's like a blaze just erupts in me. I'm like, okay, now you really done unleashed the beast, because I'm going to show you that I'm going to kill it. And then I think once I saw that I really could lead, and I could lead an excellence and transformation, I have to have checkoffs, things that I have done, and high achievements that went over well in the organization, and that brings me gratification. I would say that as far as my career is concerned, excuse me, I also feel like I never was afraid to go and speak with someone and let them know. I never forget when I was at NC State. I was there 16 years, from 01 to 16. And I was over IT disaster recovery, always around data center guys, they kind of had typecast me. Katina, you're really good at project management and organizing these disaster exercises. I said, yeah, but I think I'm gonna be a CIO one day. Well, I doubt Mark Hoyt's gonna leave. I said, well, who says I gotta be here? But I'm going to go talk with him to get some key nuggets from him on how I can get to the next level. So I found out from his secretary what is the best time of day, the day of the week, to go and talk with him for 5 minutes, that elevator pitch, you know? And I did that. And now, you know, he gave me some nuggets. He told me, continue, you gotta get a little bit more staff under you. Because even though you know the technical side, the organization needs to know that you know how to manage people. You know, to be transformational in your thinking. So I realized I had to leave NC State and I went to the agency side. And that's when I became the CIO at the Office of the State Auditor. And that was really my groundwork as far as developing my characteristics as a leader. So my confidence began to soar even in the failures, because I realized that you gotta fail quickly, recover quickly, and then build your team up to say, it's okay. We made a mistake, but let's make up for it really quickly and show them a quick win. So I think my confidence was built over time. It was built through the things that we did well. It was built through the mistakes that we made, our ability to recover quickly. And most importantly, it was built from me knowing within myself that I can do it.
I won't go into the background. I'll just give you 3 incidents where if things wouldn't have panned out the way they did, I would have been fired. So this is my second job. And the manager over there had the tendency to lecture, like a senior person, elderly person lecturing. And there was an incident that happened in my team. I had a team of 4 people, and the team members were just few years younger to me, generation-wise. But I was fresh out of college. They were also fresh out of college. So this manager starts to lecture. I kept listening, and I just suddenly stood up. He's like, whoa, what happened? I'm like, are you done with your lecture? Because I am. And I left. and I'm like, okay, I'm getting fired now. There's no way he's going to keep me after this. But I stayed in the job. And he stopped lecturing. Second time, I got a job here. That was in India. Here, I got a job as a business analyst. And that company was a late stage startup and it was growing big time. And I went up to CIO and I said, you know, you have a manager position open. I think I can do it. He's like, this is your first time. How can you do it? It's a very tough environment. I'm like, you need to trust me. I give you 6 months. If in 6 months I can do it, you can fire me. He's like, okay, you're a manager starting tomorrow. Give you a team of 5 people. And that's how my management career started. Third incident, there was my ex-boss moved to a different company and became the CIO, and she wanted to hire me. And I was happy in my place. I wasn't very keen on making the jump. So I kept on dilly-dallying. Finally, she said, what will it take for you to join me? I'm like, I asked for a title jump. Mm-hmm. So she was giving me X, and I said, I want a senior X. She's like, done. Oh my God. I had no idea what 2-level jump would require for me to go. I came home, I told my husband, I signed up for something, I don't know, I can execute. That was scary like hell.
What I love though about the confidence is it's believing in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Right? It doesn't come from external validation. It's you tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna prove myself. Yes. Or I'm gonna
take the risk.
Right? If it doesn't work, fire me. But I'm gonna put myself out there and be willing to take a risk and leave that on you.
Yeah, and that risk taking is what has helped. You know, if we make our jobs, not career, jobs our identity, and we say, oh, without it, we are nobody, then you can't take risks. You have to have your own brand. You have to have confidence in yourself. If not this job, then that job. You know, so that's risk-taking capability and ability. Capability and ability needs to be there.
All right, Melissa's next. We're going to talk about trust.
Well, I'll
So,
get into that.
how do we build trust? What actions have helped you earn credibility with peers and senior leaders when you did not yet have formal authority? So sometimes you have to earn trust.
So this is interesting. So when I came into Fidelity Investments, I started around 15 years ago. I came with the wave of like the first data science wave, when data science first became when the term was first coined. And when I came in, I was one of the first data scientists there, and I came in with I had a PhD in astrophysics. And so when my boss would introduce me, he'd be like, "Oh, this is Melissa. She has a PhD in astrophysics." So I went around, and everybody knew, like, I had instant credibility. But that was instant credibility, kind of like at this like low level technical. They're like, "Ah, yeah, like she can do this, but can she really communicate? Does she have the soft skills to really talk about things? She's just an egghead, and she'll just, we'll put her in front of a computer and lock her in a room somewhere." But what I've learned as I've gotten through the levels, like that credibility was good in the beginning, but as I've gotten into more leadership positions, I don't want to be seen as the know-it-all in the room. So much, like you mentioned this, like being a leader is you know how to ask questions. And I'll be honest, like I really try to say when I don't know something, I try to really say I don't know. And I think it takes a level of confidence to do that. When I see other people say I don't know, I feel like they're the confident ones because they're able to admit it. Because it's like, well, I don't know the answer, but let's make a plan to figure out what the answer is. Or I don't know the answer, let's collect data so that we can understand. Or my favorite one is, I don't know the answer, but I know the person that does know the answer, or the person who is in charge of making that decision. So let's bring them in. So I feel like being able to admit that, because like you said, I work in the AI space, and the AI space is full of people who are way too overconfident. And that nothing loses credibility when I see people that are just sort of like spouting. Like I think back to this is dating myself, the very old Donald Rumsfeld quote where he's talking about nations. He's saying like, there's things that we know, there's things we know we don't know, and then there's unknown unknowns. And that's how nations collapse. And honestly, I feel like that's how companies collapse too. Like, it's good to admit that you don't know when you don't know something. And I think when I see senior leaders do that, when I see them asking those right questions, that builds like credibility within me. I begin to trust that person more than anybody else because they can admit when they don't know.
I love that. Olivia?
Sure. I think that there are some pretty basic principles that tie to earning trust at any level. And in the workplace, for me, it's been making yourself available to others, being responsive, and following through. When someone asks me for something, I respond. I don't let emails go dark. If someone sends me a message, I make sure I respond. And even if I can't get to what they're asking me for immediately, I will at least acknowledge and set an expectation of when I can get to them. So not leaving them in the dark. And I have found that, as I've gone up different levels, the types of things that I'm being asked for have changed, but just the fact that they know that I'm there and they can count on me to respond and give them what they're looking for, or at least point them in the direction if I don't know or I can't do it. I found that some people actually still come to me, even if they know, hey, Olivia, I know you're not the right person for this, but I can't get this other person to respond to me. Can you please help? And having that type of connection from the very start has people, building that trust with you. And there's an ally that will always be with you wherever you are. In my workplace, some of those relationships, we may not talk for a year, and then out of the blue, hey, I need some help. Can you help me? it helps to be that phone a friend in any situation. And I think that that is built on trust.
I like this advice from both of you. The credibility is also earned like trust, but also the vulnerability of not being the smartest person in the room and not having the answers and being okay with the unknown. And then being responsive. I cannot tell you how many people in this room probably have unread emails that they haven't responded to, that people at certain levels in the organization, the inboxes are, some of you are guilty of this. Your inbox number is in this 5 digits, maybe, of unresponsiveness. And they're just being responsive as a leader and not thinking that you're too good for that or better than that, or you're going to delegate your inbox to somebody else, but just the good behavior of respectful responsiveness, I think, is a lost skill, I'll just say. All right, now I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about culture. Culture is often described as a value statement for a company. It might be on a wall somewhere, but it's really shaped by daily decisions. As leaders, what behaviors have you deliberately protected or shut down to create a psychologically safe and positive culture for your team? And we'll start with you, Katina.
Okay.
You happen to have a mic.
Sure. Interrupting during someone's conversation or dialogue. I do not allow that. We have like a safe word. If someone is sharing their thoughts or their perspective, and excuse me, you have an overzealous person who just can't wait for that person to finish, and they just want to wait for that breath to take so they can inject. And I'm like, pause, continue. So I don't allow interrupting. Another thing I don't allow is cutting someone off. What I mean by that is I have had some behaviors, both men and women, who will be like, okay, well, we're gonna move on, and let's just, we talked about it enough. I'm like, no, we don't do that. We gave you enough time to talk and share your thoughts, and just because you don't really agree with what this person is saying, we're going to respect the dialogue. So allow that person to get their point out, and if the person does cut them off, I just redirect it right on back to the conversation. And third is cameras on. So we have a culture of that because we are in a generation of virtual and hybrid. And a lot of times we deal with remote workers and they want to have whole meetings where they don't want to turn their cameras on. I don't allow that. The cameras must be on. You have to be engaged. It doesn't matter what you have on. You're a technologist. If you have on an AC/DC t-shirt, it's fine. Or into what you're saying. Are you focused? Or do I have your attention? Or are you multitasking, working for my organization and somebody else is at the same time? Or that does happen. So anyway, those are really the 3 main things that I have as a rule in my culture of higher ed.
I like that. You pass it to Melissa, please.
So, I mean, going back to what I just said before about I readily will admit when I don't know something. I try to, I try to engender that vulnerability. In my field of data science, it can get punchy. We have to have an honest, open dialogue of ideas in order to make sure we're doing the best that we possibly can. And sometimes it's hard. So, my just the nature of how I lead and how I am very open and honest. And I don't know, I hate saying that this is because I'm on a women in technology panel, but everybody, women or men, should read Brene Brown's, all her work on vulnerability. I heard her and she resonated as a leader, not as a woman or anything like that, just like as a leader. What, like, the things that she says are just amazing and they resonate. So like there's just a general, as a leader being vulnerable, as a leader being able to say, I don't know, that helps shape the tone. But I did, when I was thinking about this question, I was thinking about one thing, and this is me being a little bit vulnerable myself. I noticed that, so I overemphasize nice. On the ocean psychological test, I'm high on the agreeableness. That's not really great as a leader, because you have to challenge people and you have to lead through conflict. And I really don't like conflict, and I could see myself. So, agreeable means I am very collaborative. I love to work with people. I want us to be all a big team and like join hands and sing Kumbaya and get this project done. But that's not always the way it works. And I have to challenge people. I saw a behavior in myself that I didn't like, because the toxic side of being too agreeable is not dealing with confrontation very well. So I saw myself years ago, as I was getting up, realizing that I was, instead of confronting people during a meeting, I would, after the meeting, be like, oh, well, shouldn't we do this though? Or trying to lead too informally through side conversations rather than having open and honest dialogues. And when I think about psychological safety, yes, it's great to be like, oh, I don't know, but it's deeper than that. And if you're leading through politics and the informal influence like that, that does not engender psychological safety either. So that's a behavior that I tamped down myself.
Yeah, I like that. There's sometimes where the one-on-one coaching does need to happen out of the room, but there's sometimes where it's important it happens in the room and that your team sees that you're handling and not tolerating that behavior. I like about the not disrupting and cutting people off, because we all deserve the equal airtime. We all have a perspective. Some people talk faster than others. I used to finish people's sentences. I've learned at my middle age that I may have undiagnosed ADHD, that I didn't know that I was just a high achieving type A personality. Apparently not everyone thinks through what other people are going to say and finishes their thoughts in their head. And I had to learn and be coached about that as well, to not let people have their space. It might take them longer to get to that answer. It wouldn't be a panel without talking about mentorship and allyship. So we are going to talk about mentorship, and everyone always talks about the importance of mentorship. Tell me a smart or unique way that you have actually asked for mentorship or allyship, and what made that request more effective rather than awkward, because I think it's always a little scary, especially for some of the recent college graduates, new MBA students in the room. They're told to get a mentor, but how? And I know a lot of times you might be mentors sitting at this table. So we're gonna go back to Katina.
Okay. Be slick about it.
I mean, you already mentioned how you went to the CIO at NC State.
I'm getting ready to tell you all about it right now. Do not be direct. Hey, will you mentor me? I hear you about to launch a new product. No. Use the room just like this right here. Network, talk. Keep your ear gates open to really see if this is a person, male and female. You hear that, ladies? Not just women only, male and females, that you can glean from. And then what you want to do is you want to find your way to their table. Every time they come in the room, just, I'm gonna sit with you today. And then you just kind of ease in topics. What you think about this topic right here? How would you handle it? And they're giving you a mentor in a moment just like that. Or how things going with your job? I'm in the process of interviewing, and I would love to know from your perspective how you handle that. So you got to be crafty, have your questions already thought out, work the room, find out where there's different events going on. If it's at your company that you work at, I can tell you right now who comes to my office and they just drop by. They know I love hot tamales, and they'll bring a box in. I'm like, girl, have a seat. What you want today? She's got my undivided attention for at least 5 minutes. And she'll just talk to me about something. I'm about to pursue another certification. What are your thoughts about it? Not for me to try to give her the answer, but just a perspective. So consider ways that you're not using that word, because sometimes we are, as leaders, we're busy. And we just don't have an hour to sit there and talk with you through a process But if you come and catch me at the right time of day, which is usually a Wednesday or a Thursday, never a Monday or Tuesday, and never after 3 o'clock, these are things you gotta know. Get close to their secretary, find out. What is their downtime? Is it better to get with them in the morning or the afternoon? I knew to never ask my boss to sign off for anything on Tuesdays. He just had this attitude. And then he will wear skeleton cufflinks sometimes. I paid attention to those types of behavior about him. I said, okay, I ain't taking nothing for him to sign today because he got on those cufflinks. And before I left that particular organization, I told him, I said, you know, I knew that Tuesdays and days you wore cufflinks once a day. He said, you paid attention that much to me? I said, heck yeah, you were my boss. I was trying to get a raise. I was trying to get promoted. I better pay attention. So again, just, you know, use your time wisely, work the room. Don't be afraid to speak up. Get to the point when you're around leaders. Have your questions of that particular point of view ready to go. Find out things they like. I'm not expensive things now. Like, if you know they like nature bars, if you know they like Voss water, whatever that thing is, drop it off to them. And I just want you to know that I just need about 2 minutes of your time. Or catch them in the elevator, catch them in the parking lot, walk and talk at the same time. And you can get mentor and allies just like that. So when they're in a room and they hear that someone says there's an opportunity, let me introduce you over here to Melissa, because I was talking with Melissa the other day and I found out that she has this particular skill set. Here, Melissa, I want you to have lunch with this person. They'll drop your name and you don't even realize that they did it, okay? Hope that helps.
Who's next? Yeah.
Oh, it's hard to go after that because I really got it. I got that. That really resonates with me. I have never actually asked somebody to be a mentor. I have a ton of people that I would consider mentors, and I have a ton of people who might consider me a mentor, but we never use that word. I have people that have been kind of above me in the hierarchy, and we have built like through like mutually respectful relationships. Like we chat every now and then. I talk about my needs, and so, but it's never been formal. You know, people will formally come to me and say, hey, can I chat with you about a career conversation? And usually that's just kind of a one-time thing. You know, like I am happy to sit down with somebody if somebody has questions about like jobs or things like that. But that's not really like a mentorship relationship. To me, I have some deep, what one would call, again, I never use the term really. I have some deep relationships like that with people from around Fidelity or externally. But it's always like whether they're above me in the hierarchy or below me in the hierarchy of work. It's always like a give and take. You know, like I learn from them and they learn from me. And it's always like we always have things to talk about because that's a respectful thing. I have had people that have sort of formally asked me, and then the time for our one-on-one comes around, and it's like I'm there, and I'm like, I almost feel like I'm playing like an interviewer, like you, where I'm like, am I trying to like get all this information out of you? Like, you should be asking me questions, not like
Right.
like it needs to be a give and take.
And
And yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say less formality. Exactly what Katina was talking about. Like find them in in small pieces. Always have like questions of like substance to ask.
Yes.
That's really the best mentoring relationships.
Can I just add one point?
For sure.
Really quickly, I've had people too directly ask me, Katina, when you mentor me, I watch your trajectory, I watch you on LinkedIn, and I'll tell them like this. You see me on paper, but you need to be around me a little bit because I am a straight shooter, no chaser. And if you a person's gonna get emotional because I'm gonna tell you straight up, your writing stinks, you need to work on your look, you need to work on your grammar and different things, whatever the thing, I'm not talking about you, I'm trying to help you now, but I'm not gonna fluff it and chat GPT it. I'm going to say it just like it is. And that's not gonna fit for everybody. So when you're looking at people and you see they have these titles, they have these roles, they sit at certain panels, they sit at certain tables, you also got to see their personality because that personality could bruise you. I don't mean to bruise anyone. Some people can take that, but very few can, I'll be honest. because I've learned that they want you to tell them all the good stuff about them, but they don't want you to tell the things that they need to refine in their life.
I promise we're going to hear more from Rena and everybody else. Everyone have people talk time. Just to recap on that, I love the informality, and it doesn't need to be one mentor. It doesn't have to. It can be multiple people. And Melissa, you remind me. I call it a personal board of advisors. And I've built where there's some people in this room who's not looking at me who are on my personal board of advisors who I will be like, hey, I need 5 minutes. I'm going through something. I need to talk through something. And inside and outside your organization, because it's important to get an outside perspective that's safe. But I like the 5 minutes when it's convenient for them. It might be come in extra early and meet them before their day starts, or stay late, or in the elevator, and be prepared. Don't come in and just be like, mentor me, and without a question, because they can't help you if they don't know what you're going through or struggling with, right? Love all of that advice. Great advice. Hopefully that helps.
Can I add one thing?
Oh, for sure.
Love this one. It's about building relationship, right? So you have to make an effort to build relationship. And once you build that relationship, then it can be very, very informal. And we can just, I have quote unquote mentors, I can just pick up the call anytime. Like, I have this problem. How did you solve when you were in my place? So it's that level of relationship that really helps. And it takes time to build that.
Yes.
All right, now we're going to talk about promotions. Promotions are really just about performance. What did you learn the hard way about advocating for yourself in a promotion or scope or increasing responsibility conversation? What was a lesson learned and what would you do differently? And we'll start with you, Olivia.
So I'm going to talk about my consulting days. I said at the beginning, I spent the first half of my career as a consultant with one of the big 5 consulting firms. They were called Big 5 then. And it's an up or out culture. You go from being fresh out of college to being a people manager very quickly. And I learned that, well, I guess let me back up. So as a consultant, and this is probably the case for many consulting firms, you're assigned to a client engagement, you have the project team you're working with, but your people manager from an org perspective is not on that project team. Most of the time, they're not even on that client. Most of the time, they're not even in your state. So the person who's making decisions about your comp, your promotion, your advancement in your entire career at that company, basically is somebody you've never worked with a day in your life. And as I was in a position to be at the table to understand how those conversations took place, I learned that it's literally like a half day of those people managers going through all of their direct reports together as a group. And you have 30, maybe 45 seconds to talk about one person. And it is, how quickly can you rattle off all of their contributions? And also it's about being the best speaker and the most vocal to, how do you put the spotlight on that person to get them, above the line of a meets versus exceeds. So knowing all of that, I realized that what I could do to advocate for myself was I needed to build that script for my people manager, because I could not count on them necessarily to go chasing down all the people I worked with on my project, asking for feedback, building a story to tell in the 30 seconds they had to speak about me. So I started writing my own story. I provided them the list. Here's everything I did this last year. I don't know if they used it or not, but I at least gave them the tools, hopefully, to come equipped to have those conversations. And how that has translated now that I'm no longer in consulting is that I still build notes throughout the entire year of the things that I'm doing. It's hard once a year to look back and say, in December, it's about to be the holidays, I'm excited to leave work, and what did I do in March? I don't remember. So I take notes all year long. I save emails from people where they've acknowledged something that I did, quotes that somebody gave me recognition in, a chat in Teams. And I tell my team to do the same. I said, take all these notes. If you get an email where someone's giving you recognition and kudos, save it, send it to me. I want to see these things. If you have the opportunity to write a self-assessment, you can tell that story about yourself and what you did. I've even actually copied and pasted quotes from people who've given me recognition and put it in my self-assessment to help tell, this is what I worked on and here's the result, and how it impacted someone else in the company.
I love that. Self-advocacy and keeping all
Yes.
those accolades.
Yes.
That's great. Katina?
Oh, yeah.
did you
I
wanna
do,
share?
I do some of the same things, but I blind copy my boss. When I reply, I blind copy him. Thank you for that. I am so humbled by the praise that you gave me. When I speak at these events, I let him know I'm headed to NC State to the AITP tonight to represent UNCP. So anytime I'm speaking or just advocating, that's, putting in front of him, you made the right decision in who you hired in this role. You have a person who saw that, who's respected. I learned, the question was, what did you learn the hard way? And that was that no one can advocate for me like I can. I know my story. You can't sell it like I can sell it. So when it comes time for promotion and appraisals and opportunities, I have been overlooked so many times. I learned the hard way that you can overstay your welcome and you need to pivot quickly and go to an organization where you are a better fit. You've heard that word before, right? Just like I'm interviewing you, you're interviewing me, I'm interviewing you. I learned a long time ago that just because there's a position in an organization doesn't mean I'm the right fit for it. So I've learned to study that cabinet. What is that leadership looking like? Is it diverse? Do they even welcome the opinion of a woman, of an alpha woman? Yes, I am she. I am very opinionated. I come with a beautiful, decorated, accomplished resume. We feel like as women, we gotta, mute that a little bit. We don't say, oh, but you're not supposed to brag. You know, I'm right to brag. I paid a lot of money for those degrees, and all these years of vetting and working hard, I'm going to sell myself every time to let you know who you have the attention to. Someone said the most valuable thing that you have is time. So I'm going to use my time wisely. So a leadership promotional disappointment for me was thinking that my boss was going to keep up with that stuff. Well, he's human. He's managing a whole bunch of people. So when it came time for a raise, I didn't just give my employees. I had my name up there too. I'm looking for 5 to 10%, and this is why. Not just because I'm doing my job, but this is how I'm killing it. This is how I'm going above and beyond. He could say no, but he could say yes too. So I've learned that over the years, that don't expect anyone to sell your story or tell your story, I should say so. Tell your story like you can. But remind them who you are. Remind them the value that you bring and why they made the right choice to have you in that position.
I love that because they're similar, but two different ways of going about it. BCC and your boss is a little bit more straight no shooter, direct, organized and collecting all of it towards the end of the year and writing your scripts and your story for your boss might fit other people in the room, whatever personality fits, but both of them are self-advocates.
Right.
I love that. All right, Rena, it's finally your turn. In tech, speed and results are often rewarded over empathy. We forget about the human in the loop. How have you balanced leading with trust and care while still driving accountability and outcomes for your team?
That's the hardest balance as leaders we have to make. But we have to do it. Delivery without having the trust of your team does not take you far, does not take your team far, does not take the company far. And too much care and not delivering is even worse. So that balance is very, very important. I think I can give you an example. We had to build the company's first SaaS platform. This is a long time ago. And the company was just stepping into the SaaS subscription world. up until then, we were downloadable yearly kind of software. And so we built the whole commercial platform to be able to sell the subscription model. I had a leader, amazing leader, really, really talented leader. We built the platform. Once we went live, we realized the scale and the performance of that platform is not what the subscription model is. Subscription model you can think of as more like online, instant. Everything has to be at speed. Our 98% transactions were taking more than 10 times to complete. So imagine in an online store, that's not going to work. So after a lot of coaching, because I really liked the leader, very smart leader, and he was also very, very passionate about the project, because that's where the future of the company was. But he couldn't pivot from his ways of thinking of how the old models work to the subscription ways of working. And we had to deliver fast, because otherwise we would lose that edge of moving to subscription business. So I had to sit down with him, explain him. He was very, very disappointed, and he thought we were going to fire him. I'm like, no, I'm going to find you another role in the company. I am not going to let you go, because that would be a big loss for the company. So I socialized and found a job for him, parallel job in a different team, who was building a brand new back-end system. He went there, he thrived, he got awards. And here he was getting, he was in the principal's office every minute. That was the difference. So we delivered, and we also kept the empathy, and we also supported that individual, because I can't blame him. It was not his thing, it's just the role mismatch happened after the delivery. Mm-hmm. So that balancing act, it took me time. It did hurt us. It hurt my relationship with him, not in the long term, but in the short term. We patched up later on. And it also hurt the delivery. But in the long run, I think we came out as a winner on both ends. So that balancing act, in every situation is different. I'm just giving an example of one situation. Every situation is different. But we have to, as a leader, have to provide that environment where people are heard, are seen, their views are heard. I give opportunity to all my people to come in. We've had sessions, design sessions, where I saw that people are, because of the hierarchy or relationship, they weren't speaking up. So I called my EA, I said, take everybody's badge. We took everybody's badge, including mine, and I told her, you keep it. And then we got into the room. I'm like, where are your badges? You don't have badges, so we are equal. Mm-hmm. Now we're all equal. We don't have our titles. We don't have our badges with us. So now let's have the design document discussion. And that just changed everybody's mindset. So these are the kind of things, if we, as leaders, take into account, it helps.
Very good.
Olivia, do you have a take?
Yes. So in my career in project management, I've seen, and this is probably not unique to me, there's the pressures and the expectation to deliver faster, more value with fewer people is just, it's always there. So this is about high pressure environments, and how do you continue to deliver without losing the connections with the people? In order to deliver in the projects, I guess, without having issues that are going to derail it, you have to identify the issues early. It is much easier to course correct earlier than later. So how do you uncover issues? There has to be a safe place for people to raise them. There can't be environments where bringing something up and it may cause your project to go yellow or red is considered a bad thing, because it is going to discourage people from speaking up. I always tell my team, if you see something, say something. Even if you can't put your finger on it yet, we will figure out what might be going wrong so we can address it early. And part of that safe environment to speak is building the trust on your team, knowing that they can say something without being shut down. Whether it's truly an issue or not, at least they were heard and we investigate it and figure out, is it really something we have to, mobilize and get the right team to fix it, or maybe it wasn't an issue in the first place. But I'd rather them say something and it end up being nothing than not say something at all. So part of that comes to being a leader as one that is willing to listen. You can't always be the one that speaks and doesn't step back and let your team talk to you. So that's also, I guess, what I try to do in my team settings as well as one-on-ones. I always create time, even if I have an agenda of things I need to go to, where there's space for them to just talk.
I like that because you both remember that the people on the team, it's not just about the product, the outcome, the deliverable, the deadline. You got to keep those people happy, and empathy of listening to their situation where they can add value, helping move them, helping remove impediments or blocks or something in their way, making it safe for them to come to you as a leader and they're not afraid of losing their job. Because in this environment, everyone's afraid of losing their job. But we have one more question. We're gonna go straight up to the top of this hour. It's a really good panel. Okay. All right, last question. We're gonna start with Rena. We're gonna talk about the difference between being heard and being influential. How do you learn when to push, when to pause, and when to reframe to move decisions forward as a leader?
So this question, I would give you an example where I learned the lesson hard way. We had this strategy to move to a single instance of CRM from 18 to single. All those 18 were different technology. And I joined the company and I'm like, single instance. It's gonna take us 5 to 6 years to do that. How about we go with 2 instances? And we split the company into 2 with data sharing. A lot of technology people and understand that. That was a pivot to the strategy. So we built a big, long 6-pager, my team and product manager, and we crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and we were very, very thrilled with that 6-pager. And we were proud. We thought we covered all the use cases, all the concerns, and we went and presented to the executive. The first question the CEO asked, has it been validated by the business users? And we were like, oh. So then we went back and we took 6 months to sit down with each business unit, each business function, help them understand the strategy change, address their concerns, document their concerns, document the solutions, and then went back to the executive team and got it approved. So with that, what I learned was we didn't pause, we pushed our influence. We thought technology-wise, this makes sense. This makes sense from the time delivery. It will save company the money, time, everything. So that's what the push was. But we didn't pause to understand what's the impact on our users, whether they have any concerns. We thought, oh, technology can solve the problem, right? So that's the pivot we have to adjust. Even if my team and we think technology-wise it's an amazing solution, it's the solution, best solution after slice of bread, we do have to validate. It's like selling your own product, right? So one of the things that I preach, but at that time we didn't practice, is you're a technologist, you're building product, but you are also the marketer of your own technology, of your solution. You have to go sell, you have to market, you have to educate all your business users. And that's where the pause in my mind comes. Okay.
Melissa, bring us home. What's your take?
Okay.
Using influence.
I have a different role. So, like, I lead the AI space. My job is to push on AI. And, at my company, I work in financial services, and not everybody's always up for that. We're a highly regulated industry. We have a lot of highly sensitive data. We have a lot of people that are really worried about the value that's coming out of there. And I've kind of realized, like, me going into meetings being like, we need to build this amazing AI thing, that doesn't work very well. I will go back to, a theme that we've had is like, being a leader, it's not just about like doing stuff or technical knowledge. It's like knowing relationships. And what I found is empathy, like genuine empathy, understanding I'm meeting with this person and they're head of our customer protection team. And I know, like, I need to get into their head and think, what are they nervous about when it comes to AI? And I need to come in there and be like, hey, we need to do this, but I've thought of low risk ways that we can implement this that's going to make sure we are abiding by all of our client contracts and it's audible and all these things. And like talk to that person that way. I go to our product lead and I'm like, hey, I have this thing and it's going to save us, this is a thing that all of our clients are asking for. This is an amazing product and it's going to make us so much money. Or I go to our operations team and I'm like, oh, this is going to speed up our efficiency so much. So it's about like knowing your customer, knowing your audience, knowing when to push. I will say, like, I actually I use the phrase gentle pressure at work now because nobody wants to hear me get up on my soapbox and talk about how awesome AI is and how we should have it everywhere, even though that's my job to do that. But just gentle pressure. Leave little nuggets to say like, oh, I talked to this client and they asked us to do this. Did you know that? Just gentle nuggets, small things. Because if you go and you just start banging your head against the wall, that doesn't really help you, and you just kind of look bad. Being strategic, being thoughtful, knowing who you're talking to, and being authoritative, like that's gonna get you. That's that sort of like slow, gentle pressure. Knowing what to say when is really going to get you further than being like too much of a kind of a zealot in this space.
I love it. All right, we're gonna make time for questions, maybe? Okay. But I want, as a wrap and a recap, so I love that we kind of covered vulnerability, self-advocacy, courage, trust, empathy, confidence. I think these are all some of the values that y'all have shared about what it takes to be a good leader. All right, questions from the audience before we wrap? Maybe we have like your best 3 questions.
No pressure.
Or no questions, everyone's done. Oh. Okay. John?
What should people who are, let's say, early to mid-career pay attention to in what they read and what they seek out on their own, not just through the company or even through your influence? What kind of things should they pay attention to with all this information?
I don't follow the question.
Be a better leader.
Be a better leader.
What's on your radar screen?
I think the one thing I would say is be aware of what's changing. One of the tip I can give is be aware of what's happening. Distill it in your mind, not through ChatGPT. Distill it in your mind. Use your own critical thinking, cognitive thinking, meet people, network. The more you meet people, the more variety of thoughts you will get. Because articles are also very repetitive. So the human touch needs to remain. That's my biggest thing. With AI, the biggest fear is the human touch is eroding and we need to preserve it.
And then the lady in green had a question.
You guys talked a lot about your career progressions and how mentorship played a part in it. I'm curious if any of you have experiences working with specific sponsors or advocates, because obviously, like you all said, we're the only people who can be the best advocates for ourselves, but you also need people who can mention your name when you're not in the room. So how did you approach that, and how did you identify who your sponsors would be?
I would say for me, again, like going back to what I was talking about, like it's not that I went out and sought these, but it was, you know, and this doesn't always work. You know, I found people. I worked really hard. You know, like, and I found people that appreciated the hard work. I built trust with lots of people over time, and I helped them and they helped me, and these relationships, the sort of like that, those sorts of people that will be in the room and speak for me, they developed over time, and that trust.
I was just gonna say, if you can maybe find someone that is maybe the next level up, and that's where you're trying to get to, someone that you know and feel comfortable asking, hey, can I shadow you for a while? Is there a particular meeting that you know is happening but you're not invited to, but that person is? Maybe you can find a way for them to either include you, let you be a fly on the wall, you know, watch them as they're doing a particular activity that, you know, eventually, hopefully will be part of your responsibility, and just look for shadowing opportunities.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, be deliberate and let them know, I need you to advocate for me. I definitely benefited from that, especially in the higher ed space, because it is so competitive with people who want to be at the leadership level. You want to be a vice president, you want to be a vice chancellor, you don't want to be an associate forever. So when an opportunity comes at this campus or another campus, they're going to know their peers at other institutions. I need you to name drop me. If I have spent time with you, you know that I'm articulate. I am a person who knows what she's doing, and you feel like that's a big fit. I would appreciate if you would advocate for me. I have actually said that to people. So I have put myself again in those rooms with those persons. And whenever I caught them in the parking lot, caught them at coffee or something, hey, I appreciate every time you bring up my name. It means a lot to me. I'll say stuff just like that. I appreciate when you do things like that, because I do look to move to higher levels. And then they'll say something like, oh, what's next for you, Katina? And then I'll tell them, I want to be president at a community college.
In addition to everybody what they said, I would say one thing: do not lose eye on delivery. Deliver, deliver, deliver. That's the number one priority. Second is, from a promotion perspective, it's not your manager or boss can only recommend your name. The actual alignment and agreement happen with their peers. So build connection with their peers so they can also say, oh, I know this person and this is what they delivered, so I support you. So getting that connection, that relationship built with your managers, peers is also very important. Those two things.
Okay, we have one more question. Oh, Brooke, now there's two hands.
Okay, I saw three.
Okay. Yes, I'm next to Scott. I don't know your name. I'm sorry.
I've learned so much from all four. As I climb the corporate ladder, and even graduating here, coming here, I have suffered from what I call imposter syndrome. And having an all-female panel right here, such an amazing pedigree that you guys achieved. How, if I could hear from each one of you, how you, if you've experienced it, and I'm hoping I'm not alone, what you do, like what's your number one go-to, even as you're driving here, to combat that imposter syndrome that I know that I.
So when I was asked to be on this panel, I was like, oh, am I a technology leader? I guess I am. I totally have that. But what I remember is that so many people have that. And the people that don't have, some people that don't have that really ought to have that. You know, like when I come to something, I just remember you are all human, you know, like, and I, you know, sometimes I do think about like, oh, I did really good today. And some days I'm like, you know, maybe I didn't do so good there. But I think we're all human. And how do I deal with it? That's, I perk myself up, but I remember that everybody has this to a degree.
Yeah, everybody has it. To your point. For me, my go-to person is my husband. If I feel nervous, if I feel like I can't do it, he's my biggest supporter. He'll sit down and tell me why you can't do it. And then I'm like, I don't know. He's like, just do it.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing that's going to happen? You're going to fail. You're failure anyways if you're not doing it. So if you do it and fail, that's much better than not doing it and failing, right?
Yeah, Melissa, I had the exact same reaction, just so you know. So it's true. We still feel it.
Yeah.
So what? Just a quick side note. One of my hobbies outside of this is track driving. So I drive a race car, and one of the things that we are taught is you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and it is learning how to get the car where it's past your comfort zone in a corner and you feel the car moving, but you know what? It's okay because you're going to catch it and you're going to get grip again and you're going to keep going. So the more that you're in those, slightly uncomfortable situations, you just know you'll get through it.
I appreciate the affirmation from others, but I have learned to not expect them. Because if I'm nervous about something and I choose the wrong person to try to help me to deal with that imposter syndrome, it's just going to discourage me even more. So I really have compartmentalized myself. I get in the zone. I put on some positive music, something that's going. I really like. Who sings it? Is it Pink? And you're going to hear me roar.
Yeah.
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
That's Carrie.
That's
Yes,
it.
roar.
I put on her. I put on different songs. Beyonce. We like to party. Different things that just gonna make me act crazy and get my mind right. Because I'm an extroverted person, but when I get in spaces that are familiar to me, I can become introverted, and that's not even my behavior. But I have to step out the room sometimes, go to the bathroom, and regroup myself, remind me of who I am, why I belong here, and I can do all things through Christ. That's my scripture that I say to myself.
There you go. And our last question.
So, in the past, it's always been like, stay 20 years in a company and then you'll get to that leadership era. Now it seems to be jumping more every 2 to 3 years. How has that changed the leadership landscape? And does that hurt leadership potential later on if you do that?
Oh, no.
My maximum number of years at a company is 4 years.
Yeah.
So I cannot help that.
Yeah, I say 3 to 5 for sure, because then they're not gonna pay you your worth. I've seen that. For me, the only reason why I've been there where I'm at as long as I am, because I'm close to retirement and I don't have anything else to do. But I would have been gone within probably the 5th year.
I would like just to give a plug for Fidelity Investments. We have a great mobility programs. I've been there for 15 years, but I have hopped around the company every 3 to 5 years myself. It's just such a big company that you can do that. So I think that mobility, whether it's within a company or outside a company, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that if you
don't have the opportunity to get promoted where you're at, if the organization is too small, if the leadership positions don't open, then you have to leave. But if the opportunity exists in your current company, it's easier when someone above already knows your experience than having to start out in a brand new organization. And when people choose to leave and are not, unfortunately, forced to leave due to restructurings and layoffs, they usually leave because they're following a previous leader that they respected to that new organization. And that leader is drawing them in, right, with like a magnet and bringing them over to give them an opportunity. But to get an opportunity as a leader, especially the first time as a leader, you usually have to do it after you've proven yourself and executed well and been a top performer and gone above and beyond within a current organization where you already have a reputation.
I like to add, I do something very different than most of my CIO leaders. I actually send my direct report job opportunities, especially if they have been, because I'm not leaving no time soon. I know you aspire to be a CIO, so let me help you get there. That doesn't mean I don't want you in this role, but I also don't want to hinder you. I'm gonna be a strong reference for you. And many of them have told me, Katina, you have such a unique leadership style. I'm not used to people doing stuff like that. I'm thinking that should I be afraid? No, don't be afraid. You should lift as you climb. That means that when you get to a CIO, do the same thing for your staff. If they've been there 3 to 5 years and you know they want to grow, help them grow. Open the door, be an ally for them, an advocate for them at another institution, at another organization. That's the best management lesson I've learned.
It's funny you say that because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I tell all my leaders
Yes.
who's up for taking my job.
Yes.
I will help you.
Yes.
Come
Yeah.
take my job.
Yes.
We will help you because
Yes.
if they take my job, then I can go do something else.
Thank you. There's more little blue sites coming up for everybody, but thank you very much. This is a fantastic panel. I thought all of the comments were really interesting. I was writing notes in the back all the way through, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Kate, thank you.
Oh, very nice.
Token of our appreciation. There are boxes and little stands. They were very pretty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, a round of applause, please. So that concludes tonight's events. Thank you very much. Again, find a member, glom on it, become a referral, be here as a member next time. We really appreciate it. And have a great evening.
I enjoy meeting all of you.